Now then. Oh. This is the fourth time I've tried to do this. So, today I want to talk about Rock Eater, a book about a Marine in America and basically what it's like to literally go through the most brutal, bloodthirsty regiments in the United States Army. And I saw a few snippets on Instagram and I kind of felt a little bit like it was similar to Bukowski, but, well, a lead-loving version of him. And I'm not very good at explaining too much on camera what it's about. So let me give you a reading of what I think it's about. So, Rock Eater, at the core of this book is a scream, a howl at the moon, a punch against the rain, a hardened cry for mercy to beg the blood-soaked gods to stop pushing and punishing young boys, like the writer who was once young when he started this book, into the grave. Rock Eater has to be one of the most brutal and sheer blood-curdling experiences I've ever had reading a book because of its sheer grisly honesty and sad song-like poetry. His trembling words made you feel like he wrote each military experience poem in his dorm bed after a day of sheer brutality, and his post-military poems felt like they were written at some whiskey-stained bar top. This book is a hopeful gasp of air in the terms of modern literature, because instead of having to rely on the stale air left by the great past writers, we kind of have some rejuvenation in literature. It's just absolutely amazing, and it's pretty upsetting at many points. After reading the first few pages of Rock Eater, I couldn't stop smiling because in that moment I knew literature is not dead. Rock Eater saw to that, dragging it from the motherfucking grave with a machine gun shrapnel explosive poetry. Bang, 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 bang. Here's a basic explanation of the story. It runs in 4 parts. The first part is boot camp, Paris Island. The camp he describes as the place of painful transactions, where souls are sold to the soulless. The soulless are men who once had a soul, and they were once boys like the writer, until they sold their soul to the soulless sergeants before them. Just one fucked up vicious cycle. They call it the infantry because we're child soldiers. 17, 18, 19. Yes, I was older, but they broke me just the same, made us all colder. They put the weight of the world on our shoulders. As high school seniors, we read Lord of the Flies, then spent a year dehumanized, hazed, terrorized. When I checked into the fleet, I realized we are our very own brand of Lord of the Flies. And that was just a poem from one of the pages in this book, which I think it's easy to read it here. The way Mason, the writer, describes the boot camp is best described as a living nightmare, a place where men get made into bloodthirsty, lead-lustrous monsters who just love to kill, where Rock Eaters, whole lot of hate, a whole lot of weight, where gatekeepers, where hate breeders. I'm a Rock Eater, I'm a big-dicked, murdered demon, fire-breathing, coke-feeding, godless heathen. Proper gnarly stuff, this. The second part is about his deployment to Syria, his first taste of war, a place of red skies and refugee kids who know more about war than the soldiers deployed there. The way he describes the bombs lighting up the sky is similar to how a poet from the past would talk about a Midsummer's Night Dream. Mason seems to mix violence, death and sheer unwanted truths into something so poetic and beautifully blood-curdling serene. Howitzers roared for death and destruction as if the fiery sun painted a masterpiece in the wide Syrian sky. Such beautiful chaos is one of his poems from Syrian Sunsets. The second part of the book is when the cracks of his toughening starts to show. The wears and tears in his psyche, his constant need for intoxication to silence the anxiety-ridden bees. The particular poem, The Ballad of Corporal Jose Love, is a very hitting piece, showing how a man, a Marine, so strong, so tough, so loyal, let loose his mind for one night sniffing coke, then the next day lost everything on a drug test. A brutal, true depiction of the reality of life, reminded me of the line I always say, it takes years to build a life, seconds to knock it down. I won't go on anymore since the rest is to be discovered for yourself. Otherwise, I'll just give too much away. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the book review, and I really hope this book review helps this author, because he deserves a lot of people to read this book. It's absolutely incredible, and the collective that's publishing veteran writers is called Dead Reckoning Collective, and I highly recommend you give them a follow as well, because they're doing some really interesting stuff. So yeah, the next book review I'm going to be doing is Post Office by Bukowski, and I'm going to be putting some of my own poetry in this review to kind of show you kind of how he's inspired me, and how to kind of take inspiration from his writing. But yeah, it's my first book review. I hope this is okay. I don't know. If you hate it, please scream at me. Please just send hate. If you love it, send love. Don't just be lukewarm.